I'm Raina Ray with STL TV, and I'm sitting here with Tony Monaghan, who is actually the owner of a construction company, but he's also a documentarian who wrote a film called Rednecks and Culchies. You know what my question, and I'm sure everybody else's question is, how does a man who's in construction end up writing a documentary on that subject matter, in fact?
Well, I made the documentary because I was through frustration of dealing with drugs in the workplace. And mostly through frustration I made it, and determination, They're two things I'm pretty good at, So I made the documentary because I want to express to the rest of the world what I was seeing from my own eyes, because I couldn't believe it when I'd explained to some of my friends and people that weren't in the construction. They'd say I was making that up, that it was more or less of a, this can't be real.
And you're talking about the fact that you were hiring so many people that were dealing with a drug issue, that were addicted to drugs, and it was affecting their work.
Yeah, well, let's maybe be clear. I'm a small company. I'm just maybe not a major amount of guys. I'm not a big union company. Now, the union guys probably test the guys. I'm not sure. I can't speak for them. But for me, it was finding local labor, and I'd put an ad up for guys looking for work on. Now we use Craigslist or whatever. But then I'd put ads up on papers, on Home Depots and whatever, trying to find guys. And I didn't go out of my way saying if you got a drug problem, call Tony, Irish Construction. No, I didn't do that. So I just took the bulk of the people and I tried to work with them the best way I could,
You named your film Rednecks and Culchies. What's a Culchie? Because you're Irish.
Yeah.
We don't know what's a Culchie, because that's an Irish word.
Well, Ireland is, I come from the west of Ireland, a place called Mayo, beautiful place, Balmullet, actually. It's a beautiful place out beside the sea. It's beautiful. It's probably one of the nicest places I've been anyways, or know of. So, Culchie is a guy who comes from the west of Ireland, mostly the west. They don't get, where I grew up anyway, there was very little education. And so it was very, very rural place, so I...
Were you finding that a lot of the guys that you were hiring could relate to that Culchie lifestyle?
Well, a lot of the guys I grew up in the west of Ireland, it was pretty wild and, and barren country,
Tell me about how you relate your employees to the Culchie.
Well, a lot of the guys I find here, there were guys who mostly dropped out of college or whatever, and they weren't, sophisticated as some of these kids who, go to college. They follow to college and then they fall into construction, and then they think they can do construction. And some of them are pretty good. Some of them are, decent guys. Their family before them probably worked in construction or whatever. But I found these guys, just on signs or whatever. I didn't go out of my way to find these guys. I didn't put a sign up saying, call Tony, he's hiring drug addicts or anything. But I didn't realize when I came into this environment, I didn't think there was much drugs around the place. So I find now that it's some days I'm I'm living in a movie or something, because there's drugs everywhere.
Right.
And yeah.
You took your experience as an employer with the people who were coming to work for you that were on this addiction, and you make this film. Tell me what you're hoping to get out of this film, because we know that it's rated 5-star in social media. People love this film that you've done and really find it useful. You tell me what you were aiming for when you decided to make this film.
Well, I'm not Sigmund Freud, but I figured out that most people should understand and see it like I see it. I'm like the canary in the coal mine. I see it because I'm not maybe from here, but I see that drugs are, I know so many good guys have died, and I know families that screwed up with drugs, and I know kids, even my own, and drugs are, people say, well, there's some good drugs, there's some bad drugs, For me, it's like alcohol. I drank, I gave it up because I knew this was the only way out for me, because I knew I couldn't do both at the same time. So I figured out for me, drinking wasn't a reality, like I talked about it in my documentary. So I made Rednecks and Culchies to show people that drugs are not alone are they bad in the workplace. And I'm saying this because I put a lot on the line when I'm saying this. I'm exploiting myself, saying I'm going out on a limb here and telling people in construction, because it's going to affect, it has affected my business, and it's going to affect my business because I own a company. And I think when how should I say it? I think most companies cover up stuff. And I said to myself, this is a story that has to be told, because people got to realize that the drugs are so bad. And there's guys in construction, and it's not recently this happened. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. And even on the set when I was doing it, for the year I was doing it, one of my guys died, one of my good guys, you know. And that was sad, you know. But he had given up hope, because a lot of these guys who go into construction who are addicted. Now, I'm not saying this for the union guys, because they're probably tested and maybe they're different. But the guys I find, them are the only guys I can sort of, I have to a small company, you got to take what you can. But there's such a mass abundance out there. When I came across them first, I thought it was just a freak. These guys don't exist. These guys were crazy. I mean, I grew up with a crazy life. I had a crazy life. I've traveled all around the world. I used to be a boxer, and I've had a wild life. But I couldn't even imagine living with these guys, because sometimes it looked like I was in the movie. I was in a movie, because these guys were capable of saying anything, doing anything, pulling stunts, you know. So I decided to document their behavior, and I named the movie Rednecks and Culchies, because Culchies is a slang word for I grew up. It's in the west of Ireland mostly, and it's like a Irish working class guy, you know. And it's you know, I'm proud of my slang name. So
well,
and I'm proud of being Irish too. But I mean, I had to document this because it was the only way that I could get the story out there. Like, I got a 5-star rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I've been in Huffington Post, I've been in different stuff, because it's a story that should be told.
right. Well, I'm glad that you have told this story, and people can find your story where?
Well, they can go to Monaghan Productions, or they can go on Amazon Prime, and they can find my story.
Well, I certainly hope that people take the time to look at it, because you're right, it's an epidemic in the
And
U.S.
I know now that opiates are a big
Right.
thing.
Well,
And I find, you know, there's been drugs there all along, but it was in certain cultures it didn't really matter. But now this disease is coming to everyone's door, and eventually it will be at everyone's door.
right. Well, thank you for doing this documentary. Thank you for getting that message out and taking it seriously, and forcing us, the rest of us who look at your film, to take it seriously. Tony Monaghan with us. Definitely check out his film, Rednecks and Culchies. Thank you for watching STL TV.
Thank you.